Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Speedrun Insider. My name is CJ, it's all good. Thank you so much for joining me this week, as you do every week. If you're new to the show, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And this is a very special episode. This is the first of a series of Speedrun Insider All Stars. So people have asked me, CJ, what would it take to have a guest back on the show? And I've been very hesitant to ever be like, yeah, we'll have a guest back on the show. That sounds like a thing that I should do. It's not a thing I was ever sure that I should do. This is a episode of Speedrun Insiders, but during SStat 2021, the community donated generously. We gave them a community challenge. If they were able to contribute, I think the total was 375,000 total channel points throughout the course of the event, which was 7 days. They would unlock for everyone 7 new episodes of Speedrun Insider All Stars, featuring guests that have been previously featured on the show based on people that they have voted for. So there was a poll sent out to subscribers in the Discord, as well as some people that I know listen to the show fondly, and the results have been coming in. And so today we have our first episode with the most downloaded episode of the podcast, the most listened to episode of the podcast by listen time. The original guest. It is Quo. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. How are you, CJ?
Oh, I'm living the dream. You know, I get to do a podcast with my bestest buddy in the whole wide world. I mean, you know.
That is the dream. I gotta admit, though, a lot of those listen times was because I just play that episode on loop, so you know that those numbers might be scuffed.
I love the idea that you listen to your own... You just play it, you go to work, and you put it on all the computers. That's why the listen time is so high.
Yeah, you know, that's what I do on my free time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's funny because you were the first episode we recorded. There were a bunch of episodes that were recorded that never came out, but you were actually the first.
So I was the first episode released.
You were the first episode recorded and released.
Nice. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. I was going to say you were the first episode released, but you were actually the first episode recorded. You were not going to be the first episode released, but then you ended up being the first episode released. So it's funny how that kind of worked out.
And now
those
we're the
podcasts
first...
actually didn't come out. Those other two.
So there's like other things that the community might, you know, be able to wiggle out of you, is what you're saying?
No. Those are those podcasts are in the drawer. They're not coming out.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. So no, I think it was interesting because it was kind of before we got the. Well, I don't want to say we got the formula down, but it was definitely before we got like into a rhythm. You know, those very early episodes, I was very geared toward the concept of like really preparing and giving people questions and having answers and knowing what everyone's and have it be very procedural and knowing everything that was going to happen. And then I was like, you know, I had an episode that went off the rails and it was the most fun to record. So we're just going to roll with it, you know? But yeah, yours is the first episode. So I think it'll be interesting to see how, you know, the 2 episodes compare. One, which I might say was very produced. I mean, we knew everything that was gonna be said.
To my request, to be fair.
To your request, yes. And literally down to the word, you knew everything I was gonna say. I knew everything you were gonna say. There was no surprises. Not to let it be said that it was like a script, but we knew generally what everyone was gonna say. This time we have nothing, literally nothing. I asked Quo an hour ago if he was still good to record, and he said yeah. So we're going in hot,
and I'm ready for it. I think so.
All right, yeah, you're ready for it. All right, so a lot changed, obviously, in the last year. We recorded that episode in July, so I think that it had happened already, but we hadn't talked about it. You had done Aid, and I'll say that was mostly you, although I was present and accounted for. So yeah, I mean, was that the first marathon that you ever planned?
Planned, yeah. I volunteered for other events beforehand, but yeah, that was Icade was the first marathon I planned. So
And that was basically you.
yeah, yeah, it was
I
rough
didn't
around the
even do a
edges.
run.
You did commentary.
For Icade? I
Yeah,
don't think so.
yeah. Doshin the
And for
Giant.
what? Oh, that doesn't count.
Now it's coming back.
Oh, yeah. Well, the people donated for that. That was rough. I mean, that run was great. Thank you for raising money for Icade. And Icade, we should just say, is for our friend Ika. That's her name. We raised money for her back. She it was like, I think the slogan was like, Ika, we got your back. I made the graphic for that. I think I made the logo.
Yeah.
And that's right, we sold the shirts.
Yeah, I still have mine.
Oh yeah, yeah. The test shirt that they sent me, the logo literally fell off in like 2 washes, and I was like, I hope the real ones are better than the test version. Because damn, that was awful.
Yikes.
And then they ended up being better. So,
Well,
but go ahead.
maybe that's why they were the test version.
Yeah, they gave us the bad batch. No, I think it'd be really interesting to talk about and for people to hear what goes into planning an event. And obviously we've done more than that since we did SStat 2020, we did Launch Party, and we did SStat 2021, which I think as the time of the recording is, it was a week ago. Or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, like, what goes into planning, and I can obviously speak to it too, but what goes into planning an event, especially the technical side that maybe people don't know?
Yeah, especially the technical side. Like, by the time the event starts, I'd say 75% of the work is done. So, like, a lot of it is planning and setting up and getting things ready for the event and making sure that things are able to, like, switch from one game to another, to intermission, to whatever else you might have. Everything changes, everything, for production wise can go smoothly. Like, all of that is planned beforehand, and it needs to be ready for the event, so that on the actual event, the only thing you need to worry about is doing your job and making sure nothing breaks, which are 2 very important things to do. But yeah, for the technical side of things, especially, it's all pre-planning. Not all of it, but like a majority of it is.
So I'm gonna walk through an operation that you and I do, and also requires the participation of a third party, right? And we can talk about like how difficult that is, right? So one of the things that you probably don't ever think about is the layouts, right? Because they're just on screen, they look good, right? There is something to be said about making a design that looks good. I've definitely made designs that look good, but don't look good in layout, right? They don't look good on stream, because when you have to put them, like, with the all the stuff on them, they're hard to read, right? So definitely that's a thing. So for me, right, it starts with me designing the graphic, right? You have to make holes in the graphic for the things that you want to go there, right? And that sounds easy, but then you're like, okay, well, we don't just need a 4x3 graphic, right? Because obviously we're going to need a 16x9. Are you going to accept races? Because then you need a 4x3 and a 16x9 race layout. Where do the cameras go when you go to a race layout? Oh, this one has a special tracker. This guy uses a vertical camera, right? All of these little things that go into consideration that you don't think about when you submit or when you are looking at it. You're like, whoa, yeah, well, I didn't even think about the fact that we had to make, right, a 4x3 layout. Something that happened during the first SStat, which I did not know, I learned very quickly that Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy games do not have 4x3 layouts. Game Boy Advance is 3x2.
Yep.
And the Game Boy is 10x9. right?
Yes, or 9 by
So
10. I always forget. One of the two.
yes. So one is basically a literal. One of them is basically like a rectangle, so it can work more or less with the 16 by 9. 10 by 9 is a square, but it's a big square, right? It's a really big square, and it's bigger than the 4 by 3 square. So all of those have to fit good on whatever design that you make, and then you have to cut the holes out because you have to send those over to somebody to put them into OBS, right? So then I give them off to Quo. I get them perfect to the pixel. The first time I did not do that, and it made everyone insane. But again, you live and learn. And so then what happens? What do you do from there?
Yeah, then I guess it sort of gets split off because I do my part, and then we have someone else who does their part, which we can touch on later. But so part of the setup is, we're going to build the runner. Well, I guess the runner layouts is what we're doing. We're going to build the runner package. That's the word I was thinking of. And in the runner package, there's OBS scenes, and there's basically just we need to find a way so that the runners can fit their game in whatever resolution. So we have a bunch of different scenes for different resolutions. You have 4 by 3, 4 by 3 with the camera, 16 by 9, 16 by 9 with the camera, etc. And I need to make it so that whenever they drag and drop their game, they can put their game in a spot, and it needs to do it seamlessly, because if things don't line up perfectly, people will notice. And the worst thing you want is people telling us, oh, there's a black bar on the side here. Why is there a black bar? And I'm just crushed by this. Yeah, so all the layouts in OBS, they're done with not super advanced, but pretty advanced just transforms and making sure that everything's going to fit where we want it to fit. And so for every layout, again, that you see, which CJ went on about, it takes 15 minutes, I guess, per layout to touch on all those. And we have 4 sizes times 2, because with cameras, so that's 8 plus, I think, only 2 race layouts, and those take a bit more time. So I guess maybe 3 hours of work to just, it's not fun work either. It's just getting everything, good to the pixel, and then all right, next.
Yeah, and it definitely is not made fun when I am off by a pixel. And everyone listening is like, a pixel, right? But people don't notice if you do things right. They only notice when stuff is wrong, and believe me, they can tell you when it's wrong. Right? They can spot, as soon as something doesn't sound right, they'll be like, Strimmer, this is wrong. And it's like, yeah, thank you, we got it. We're aware, we're working on it. The date. But if you're doing everything right, people won't be sure you did anything at all. Which is honestly what you want. You want them to think that it's really easy, and that they doesn't look hard. So, and then Ares, what does Ares do?
Yeah, so Dark Ares, he's with NASA, so he's one of the head organizers, I guess.
Yep, been on the show, episode 19. I think.
Nice. I'm sure he also spoke a ton about marathon stuff.
He did.
But one of the things that a lot of marathons...
Episode 16. Episode 16.
Go.
I'm an idiot. Good.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of marathons use, GDQ uses it, ESA, a bunch of other marathons, basically, NASA, obviously, is they use a... I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's a Node-CG bundle, I guess. It's basically a programming thing. It's called Speed Control, and it builds the layouts for you, sort of, in a sense that CJ gives Ares an image of the background of the layout. And what Ares does is that he defines, it's all in HTML, so he needs to define margins and paddings and all that. And he says, okay, the title is going to go here, so that when we have a dashboard for restreaming, and this is later during the event, where we can click, okay, next run. Next up is Pokemon Snap. Great. So Pokemon Snap is going to go in the title box, so we don't need to manually do that. And then there's a second box for the category, so we don't need to manually do that. And then there's another one for the estimate and the runner name. And then we have extra stuff, so we have region and year release and stuff like that. So all those get put on the layouts in the right place. But that's also a lot of manual work of, Aries needing to make sure that everything goes in the right spot. If something ends up being too big, okay, it needs to manually resize down so that it still fits. So there's all that stuff that Aries does, which is very appreciated, because not only is it grueling work, but it's long.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Aries.
Yeah. But he makes it look good. So with CJ doing the layout, I do the runner tech side, and then Aries does the no CG stuff. Later, I also need to add everything into OBS to make sure that when the runners stream, everything looks good, which is another part. But yeah, that's just more of the same, basically.
Yeah. And so all of that is like, oh, well, even if all of that didn't sound like a lot of work, right? And if you split it up, it's still a lot of work. Right? We've involved 3 people in this process. It's still a lot of work. I mean, however long it takes me to come up with a unique design, someone was like, "Oh, CJ, this isn't unique. This is inspired by this thing." And I'm like, "Listen, I drew it with my own hands. It's unique."
Everything's inspired by something else at the end of the day.
Yeah, right? It's like there's no new stories. Lion King is just Hamlet.
Basically.
Yeah. So, especially when you get into the uncle stuff, I mean, Jesus. Not that we're going to talk about Hamlet or Lion King for very long, but I think it's also interesting, like, oh, well, it's great. It's like you just hit this button and the stuff gets updated, except when that doesn't happen and the automation gets broken. Right? We had a thing happen. It's not quite exactly the same. Like, it's not like whatever, but it's a good example of like when stuff breaks, how much you relied on like everything like working, right? We had a situation during STET 2021. I'll start it and then you can say what happened.
Sure.
So we're in the middle of, and it's not uncommon. I guess it's really not uncommon. During the event, you're going to have some drops. OBS freezes, that happens to you if you stream. That just happens. OBS just crashes, right? It's a program, held together with, dental floss and toothpicks sometimes. It feels that way, right? Just like, hey, it just crashes, right? And then you start it up and you're all good to go. During your own stream, it's upsetting to the dozen people that are watching, or if you're big, the 100 people that are watching, a little bigger. When you're doing a marathon, you lose that continuity, right? And so there's a little bit of panic that goes in because the worst case scenario is that something catastrophic has gone on, and I guess we'll get there. And you can explain the mechanism by which we actually do the marathon. But it was the final run of Day 5. It was the final run of Day 5. I was hosting, and it was Donkey Kong Country 2 Unveiled, and it was Blueberry doing the run with Void on commentary. Shout out to Void. Episode... I'll be impressed if I get this one right. Episode 30. And someone will put in the comments that I was very wrong. But, and then all of a sudden, I always have the stream up. Whenever I tell, as I also do the host volunteer stuff. Whenever I am going through everything with the host, I tell people, have the stream up. Don't rely on Discord. Have it up, because you will see what the chat sees. And you will hear what the chat hears. Which is way more valuable than what you hear in Discord. So, all of a sudden I look over and it's buffering. And I'm like, okay, my internet's been spotty. Let me just refresh. Nope. Didn't fix it. So I was like, oh no. Whoa. So then I'm like, is it down for anyone else? And then on cue, the chat, Monka S. The adding of Quo. Ika, just, Quo? Right? Just like out of nowhere, right? Just like. And I remember I'm like, oh, can we get back online? And I'm like, no one's messaging me back. But I saw people were in another voice channel. I was like, all right, the stream is dead. So I told the guy to pause the game. We're going to try and figure out what happened because the stream was dead. There was no communication with the chat. And so you can explain, I think first part is explain how we actually are able to stream the marathon, right? For people that don't know. Like, and then talk about what actually happened.
Yeah, so one of the things that, to make sure the marathon is seamless, that it can go on for, I guess we go offline during the night, but that we could go on for a full 4-day weekend without stop, is that we have a remote desktop that we can go into. So there's a program, No Machine, and we can log into this desktop, and this desktop is the one that streams. So if I'm the restreamer, there's nothing going on my computer. I'm hooked into a different computer, and it's that computer that streams. So at the end of my shift, I close No Machine, someone else goes in, they can restream, stream doesn't drop, everyone's happy. And then this restream PC, there ended up being a big storm that hit over Toronto, which is where the restream PC is. I think it might have been related, like the tail end of Hurricane Ida, I think it was the big one that...
Yeah, I believe that might have been it.
Most likely was something related to that. We usually have storms whenever there are big hurricanes. It's not that bad, but in this case, it did drop power. But the person who owned the restream PC wasn't there that weekend. So there was no one to go turn it back on. At the time, we didn't know if it was off, or maybe just the internet cut out. If the internet cut out, it would have went on by itself. But in this case, the power went out. So we were sort of shit out of luck in that sense with that PC. So that sucked. We had to sort of scramble for a backup plan because usually the restream PC, if it goes down, we can get it back up. In this case, we couldn't. So I didn't know this at the time, but would have been a good thing to plan for. But these things happen. So anyways, to save it, so everything's saved on the restream PC. So we basically had to build a lot of this stuff back up. Luckily, it was the last run. So Grace, shout outs to Grace. She shouted me out on her episode, so returning the favor.
Animated Elf also on the show. You see, we really reuse and recycle our friends here. Episode 23.
There you go.
This is All Stars anyway. We're mentioning a lot of All Stars.
Yeah, we're bringing them all back.
Bringing them all back. Go ahead.
So Grace ended up saving the end of the Donkey Kong run at least, and just restreaming it from her PC. We sent her the layouts, and we're like, all right, just put text on the screen that says Donkey Kong Country unveiled. It says Blueberry. We don't have a timer. That's unfortunate. Just we're running with it. Just go.
My favorite part about that is I joined and was like, hey, can someone tell me what's going on? Because whereas Ike, we mentioned earlier, that was really just Quo. SStat Launch Party and SStat 21 are really me and yours event.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when I say it's not to exclude you. It's to include me. Because I'm assuming everyone knows that it's also your event. Right? But I'm sitting there and I'm like, can someone tell me what the hell's going on? And Grace is like, it's okay, CJ, it's okay. She's like, and we're gonna use Impact because Impact is the best font. And I was like, oh god, what is going on? That was the first thing I heard. I was like, oh no. I was like, I can send you the font. She's like, no, we're rolling with what we got. I'm like, okay, I have it right here. It's very pretty. And so the reason we chose Grace is because she was doing degen time afterwards. Fun fact, the Restream PC also crapped out the previous SStat right before degen time.
True.
So.
For a different reason, though.
For a completely different reason, yeah. It was not in effect because of a lightning storm.
So yeah, Grace ended up saving that, and Aries ended up waking up. He normally goes to bed early, because especially recently he just started working again, so he's been up at like 6 a.m. because he works early. And he just ended up waking up for some reason. I think it was because of the storm woke him up, and he's sort of in the area. And it ended up being me and him working till like 4 a.m, trying to get stuff back up. It was good enough for now. We went to bed, woke up at like 9:30 the next morning just to get everything back set up. And even then, it wasn't like ready as if it was the first day of the event, as much as I would have liked it to be, especially because we're doing a lot of like more advanced stuff with either scene switching or how runner streams are put into the layout. So there was a lot of stuff where like, all right, we're just doing this manually. We need to get this working. And working, we got it. And I don't think, if you didn't know what happened, I don't think you would have noticed a big change between day 5 and day 6. So I think we did a pretty good job. Might have been a few pickups here and there, but overall.
You definitely weren't there. If you weren't there for the crash, you wouldn't even know. Like, visually, to the audience, it looked perfect. Right? There was a fun few stories that came out of that. One of them we told on a podcast recently with Clock District that CC's mouse wasn't his mouse. That was really funny.
Oh yeah.
That was really funny. It forced a resolution onto the restream PC that was different than CC's resolution, so it was all messed up or something along that lines. I was very upset in the moment, and I remember Mash, who was up at one point, and like we were all trying to like figure out what's going on before we found out the guy was moving. We're like, hey, we need this thing turned on, and he was like, yeah, I can do it on Tuesday. I was like, Tuesday? It's Saturday.
2 days of the marathon left.
I know. I was like, no, man, it can't be Tuesday. And I was like, I was pretty mad. I was working some stuff out. And Mash started DMing me, and he's like, okay. Like, he was very nice, and he talked. Shout out to Mash, by the way. Nice guy. He was, like, talking me through it, and he's like, I just want to let you know, nobody's going to let there not be a rest of SDAT. Like, if I have to, I will personally restream the remaining 2 days myself. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully it's not necessary. Hopefully we don't have to go to the nuclear option.
And knowing Mash, he definitely would have. Like,
oh, God, yeah.
Bless his soul.
Yeah. Bless his soul. He would have been like, all right, boys, it's ARPG me. Part 2. Just been like, let's sleep. Keck W. So, lots of fun. But I'm really happy. I'm really happy with how SDAT 21 came out.
Yeah, it ended up being a good show.
It ended up being a good show, and so SDAT 2020, I think, killed everybody a little bit. Yeah, so Icade, quote, didn't sleep at all, right?
Correct. Yeah. There I had some sleep. We didn't do
very much,
overnights,
because
but then we ended up doing
broke.
overnights.
Yeah, we did do that, didn't we?
Yeah.
SDAT, you died a little bit. So, SDAT 2020, you died a little bit.
Yeah, because that one went through the night, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was overnight. That was rough, and we all died a little bit. Like, we all died a little bit. It was rough. People dropped, and they dropped overnight. You know? And it was like, oh God. I mean, just a lot of people stepping up and doing, like, real-time problem solving, you know? And being really great about it. So, like, I remember one run dropped, and we had a Fable run later in that day, but we needed something to kill an hour and a half, and Adam is like, oh, right, I do Fable. And did a Fable any % run. Shout out to Adam, was episode number 2. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Let's get in the next half hour.
I'm trying to think. So, and I remember, like those things in particular, like, those were cool, but, like, we were really tired. And so we were, after SDAT, Quo was legitimately like, I'm not doing another one. And I was like, no, Quo, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And then we said we're going to do launch party. It's going to be fine. Shorter is better, right? Because one of the things is you're like, it's overnight. I don't know if I can do overnights without more help. And then launch party is famous in Speed Docs lore for being the event where we had literally no help.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was one day, at least one day, where Quill restreamed the whole day. And there was one day where I hosted all but one run. And that was rough. So, and I think I got my second coronavirus shot on the first day of launch party. So I literally got home from my shot, was tired as all get out, and had to host.
Yeah, I remember that, actually.
I passed out. As soon as the Wind Waker video started, I fell asleep in my chair.
Oh, yeah, that was the one where I was, like, doing the project for my final exam as I was also restreaming.
Yeah.
I remember why I died that weekend. Yes, now it's coming back.
It's a launch party, like, Quo actually died. So the plan was to get us more help, and we thought we did, except everybody bailed. Even the people that showed up did less than they said they were going to do. And that's not targeted at any one person. We also had to teach new people. Like, that one was painful. We taught people how to do a bunch of new jobs. I mean, it was really harsh. And Quo says to me, no, I'm actually not doing another one.
This can't keep happening.
You can't keep happening. And so he can't keep getting away with it. So we talked for like a couple of months. Like, it was all of May. You were like, I'm not going to do it anymore, and I'm not going to teach you how.
I didn't say those words exactly.
You said you're not as interested in teaching me how to do it, because at that point, why don't I just do it? And I'm like, well, goddamn, I have to learn somehow.
That's fair. I did say that.
You did. You did. So I was like, God damn. And we were looking for someone else to
I offered solutions.
You did offer solutions.
To my credit.
And then, to your credit, and then at one point I said, Quo, what is it going to take to get you back in the fold? And you told us what it would take. And we did it. You wanted more help. He said, I want... First of all, I never got my monitor from STAT 2020, which was not our fucking fault.
I don't think I said that.
You wanted your monitor.
I don't think I mentioned the monitor.
You said compensation.
For launch party, not for STAT.
Yeah, but we did agree to give you a monitor. That's why you did STAT.
But that's why I did the STAT, not launch party.
Yeah, so this is fair. We didn't give you the monitor for STAT either. But it's here.
But it was promised. And I knew it was there. And it exists.
It is here. It does exist. It's a very expensive looking towel holder right now. Because it is in the laundry area of my apartment. In the box. In the styrofoam. It works. We took it out and tested it.
This is good.
It is a 34-inch monitor, which does not currently fit on your current desk, by the way.
I could make room for it if I had to.
So there's that. We didn't pay you for launch party, and so we did that, and then we came up with an amount to pay you for both, right? And so we paid you for both. And then you were happy, and then you said, I also need more help. And so I probably asked every single person that I could think to ask to volunteer. Because it's not just Quo. I mean, it's not just Quo. I needed more hosts because I was dead ass tired at the end of launch party. I really couldn't do another turn like that. But it's easy to get extra hosts. Those are, by contrast, easier to train. You know, it's hard to find people that are A, willing to restream, but B, can restream.
Yeah, there's definitely you need a certain set of skills to restream.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the people that can just because you can doesn't mean that you want to. And sometimes people that want to just can't. They can't do it. Which is truly unfortunate. So, we went into SStat 20... We were going into SStat 2021. We didn't think Quo was going to do it. Quo did do it. And then, through a series of events, which I won't mention, but it ended up working out that Quo ended up officially joining Team Speed Docs.
There you go. So now I can't get out of it even if I want to.
This is what you signed up for.
That's true. I did sign up for it.
You know, you definitely told me what you wanted and I gave it to you.
This is true.
So, yeah. I mean, we're all excited, right? You're excited?
Yeah. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, so it means that, because, Speed Docs is a business, so he's gonna buy in, and Quo is, his official job is event coordinating with me, all of the various events that we put on, and also doing some live stream stuff, so, because we have a lot of live stream things that we have to satisfy as a result of SStat 21. A lot of fun little things coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's exciting. We're thinking about making a future event in person. We haven't decided when or where yet.
Yeah, situation permitting, but it's going to be good.
That'll be exciting.
I haven't ran an in-person event, but from the people who have, they say that in-person events are 100 times better to run than online events. So I'm pretty pumped for that.
Yeah, but then I, of course, threw a wrinkle and everything when I told Quo. I was like, oh, we could, do a hybrid in-person and online. And your exact words were, that's so much more work.
It is. But also, from the people that have said that they've done online marathons that are 100 times better than, or on-site marathons, rather, that are 100 times better than online. That means that online marathons are 100 times worse to run. So if I can get away from that, I'm gonna try to. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we will. We'll do something. I think obviously there's the people that want to participate, even though they live in,
Australia,
not the northeast of the U.S. Or the southeast of Canada. Is that how you ever say that?
No, we just say east.
Yeah.
There's east, west, and north. There's no south of Canada.
Technically, there's a south of Canada.
Like, technically, but no one says south of Canada. Or southern Canada.
100 miles from the border, so...
Yeah, good times.
It'd be weird to be like, oh, we all live in the south.
All of you guys? Yeah.
There's a lot of area that just kind of looks like Yukon. It just kind of looks like ice country up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of land up there.
That y'all don't do really much with.
No, but a lot of it's not livable, so, it's hard to...
Everything's livable if you're brave enough.
That's fair. Well, not a lot of brave people, then.
Why is it not livable?
It's just very cold.
Oh.
But, very cold. Not like when you say very cold. Not even like when I say very cold. It's like cold beyond that.
Listen, you think that you have a tolerance for cold higher than me? You only live 5 hours from me.
Yeah, but that's pretty far up.
That's pretty far. Do we have that vast difference of cold?
I'd have to check. Off the top of my hand, no. But between me and Yukon, there is a vast difference.
Between you and the Yukon, yeah. There's a whole bunch of potatoes, too.
That's fair.
Is that why it's so cold, all the potatoes?
There's also the problem of... Let me see if I can get actual time for this. Shoot, I can't read this. Basically, sunrise and sunset is very variable throughout the year, where there's some times where they'll always have sun, and then they'll have sun for 2 to 3 hours of the day. Not 2 to 3. I think it goes up to the worst it gets is 5.5 hours of the day is sunlight. And then some days it's just oh, you have 20 hours of sunlight, and the rest of it, it's still bright outside. It's just not sun. So, there's that other problem.
This is fair. not that I don't like the tangent we went on, but getting us back closer to the topic. But launch party was 3 days, but no overnights. It was very short.
Yes.
And SDAT21 was 7 days, but it was 2 weekends. And it ended up being, I think everyone really liked it. I think everybody really liked that format, especially for an online event. I think people liked that.
Yeah, they seem to. I liked it a lot better, for sure.
It gave us a lot of time to... Well, one, I think this is really invaluable. People can't miss you if you don't go away. Right?
True.
Like, if you aren't, you gotta, and people wanted it the next day. Like, people woke up Monday after day 3 and were like, oh, I got the SStat blues. And it's like, oh, we got weekend 2, but, it was a week away. It gave us time to prepare. It gave us time to work on it. Fix anything that might have went wrong during the week. Reflect on stuff if we wanted to make any changes. I liked the way that SStat21 looked more than Launch Party and whatever. We had those bumpers, which I think really worked.
Mm-hmm. When they worked.
When they worked, yeah. But we made so many of those. Someone had mentioned, like, oh, can we send in our own footage? And I was like, yeah, that'd make it way easier for me. Go ahead.
I don't need to go hunting for clips. Let's go.
Yeah, I spent like 2 weeks working on those fucking videos. Yeah, of course, you guys. Yeah, go ahead. You guys want to submit your own footage. But no, it's like, okay, so, I think the nexus for whatever we do next for SStat, if it's another online event or if it's in person, like if it's in person, 7 days is like, well, then you can't stop, right? It's like can't stop, won't stop at some point.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do 2 weekends for an in-person event because people aren't going to stay, right? Or maybe they will.
Yeah, or booking a hotel room for 2 weekends, but not during the week. So you'd have to set everything up, tear everything down, go back the next weekend, do all that again.
I'm actually, it's an interesting thing to think about. What if it was 2 weekends, but the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you just raised hell, right? You still rented the room, right? You just
do whatever you want there.
Yeah. But no. So it's like, what do you think's next? Like we said, we're gonna do a speed docs with a K.
I'm pumped. I have a secret thing that I vaguely started working on. So
I also have a game that I'm working on.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, everyone's like, "Oh, does the fishing game and Call of Duty count?"
Sure.
I think it counts.
Why not?
I guess it does. But people are like, "I want fishing gameplay." This is birthed out of the stupid fucking fishing race we did at SStat with the 40 people.
There were only 9.
It was ridiculous. It was a lot of people.
It was ridiculous. That was a good time.
It's not a coincidence that it broke shortly after that. So I have a game that's actually fishing, which I'm excited to not learn until the last minute.
I have a game that has fishing in it, and that will be the primary focus of the run. But it's not the primary focus of the game.
That's fair. So what do you see next for live events, Mr. Event organizer? What do you expect?
For live events, I mean, so I still have to learn things for live events. Like everything I know is for online events. And there's some stuff that's transferable, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that I need to know how to handle hardware-wise. For example, it's like, okay, we have I don't know, how many different consoles do we have, and how do we all fit this into the Restream PC? Because it's not just someone streaming from their home. It's now, okay, you're connecting to my PC and we're streaming from here. So it's like, okay, how do I connect your, I don't know, Neo Geo X to my PC? Like, do I have the right things for that sort of thing? So there's a lot of stuff like that we need to work on. Audio-wise, we'll need like headsets. We'll need to learn how to use a mixer, or like properly use a mixer, I guess. I know how to use one, but only so well. Only for my personal setup, which has one input. And a bunch of stuff that just live will be different. The stuff that's transferable should be easy enough. But there's a few things that we'll have to learn.
For sure. I mean, it'll be definitely some growing pains, you know. I wonder if, you know, Launch Party will follow the, you know, what the format it did before, or do you think we'll do 2 weekends? You know, all interesting things to think about.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about what Launch Party's gonna be all about.
I think I heard you recoil from Canada, the idea of it being 7 days. So.
I'm just on the floor splayed right now, like, no, not 7 days.
He's in the fetal position. I was thinking about it in this context, right? Because we raised way more money than we did at SStat 2020. We raised 7,280. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like that's really crazy.
It's a lot,
but it's a lot of money, and it's like, oh wow, like what are we gonna go from here? You know, if every time that you do something is an attempt to try and do it better than the previous time that you did it. We are speedrunners, so this is our new PB. Like, where do we go from here? And I think it's definitely interesting to think about. People keep asking us, "Oh, do you have dates for Speed Dogs-a-thon?" No.
No.
Do you have dates for Launch Party? No. You know, and this is true, and you know, the events are possible because we do videos, right? Like, the events are made possible by the fact that Speed Docs is a show that people watch.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people, but some people watch. And so the only reason we're able to do it is because, you know, it's popular. So we have to go back and now make more videos. You can't, as much as I would actually love to just do charity events all the time, we actually have to now go back and make videos. And, you know, pay some actual bills. Because it's not free. It is not free to do this event. I don't care what anyone says. You can do it very cheaply. You can do it very cheap, but it is never free.
It is not.
So, I mean, you know, I'm as much as I'm sure, you know, the NASA guys, you know, are happy to help us. I still give Aries money for his work, right?
Yeah.
We still pay Quo. You know, even though he's bought in, we still pay him to do stuff, right? Like, it's like, yeah, you can do a random event and you can just do it because, you know, go at it because you have Moxie, you know, you have Spunk. Then you can do it very cheap, but, like, and we don't spend a ton of money, but it's still money, you know? Gotta make that money back. Jared's listening to this and he's going out of his mind. The videos are the important thing.
CJ's like, nah, I just want to host. Let's just run these events.
I love when the events are going on, man.
I love when they're going on. When they're going on, it's great.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You like when they're over even better.
That's a pretty solid it's a good time when they're over. You know, when the Precursor Legacy hit, I was like, I've been looking forward to this run all event.
You did bail.
That's also true.
Like, you messaged me at the start of the run and we're like, I've watched the credits, I'm okay. And I'm like, are you sure? And you were like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it. I was like, all right, if you're good with it, see ya.
Yeah, but I also had to work in 7 hours.
This is fair. I took off that day.
Yeah, I probably should have, but these things happen.
Yeah.
And then you guys raised like $1,000 without me.
That was nuts. We already talked about it on the Clock podcast if you want to hear about that story from Estat.
Wait, what episode is Clock District?
He hasn't come out yet.
Oh,
So,
shoot.
he is either going to be episode. Putting me. He's either 46 or 47. I did already say who. Like, okay, so there's an episode that had like an audio problem, so I sent it to the audio doctor, which is also Aries, by the way. And the audio doctor has had a large caseload lately, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet. So that podcast remains in limbo. But there is an Author Blues podcast coming out any day now. Yeah, it was interesting how it worked out. So, I'm trying to think, what podcast did I record between Launch Party and... Yeah, no, I did 33 through 45, so 12?
Yeah, 13, if it's inclusive.
Yeah, 13. So yeah, pretty exciting. The podcast is obviously doing well. I don't know how these are going to be. The All Stars are going to be numbered differently, I assume, but I haven't figured out in general how yet.
I mean, if all else fails, you can call me All-Star number 1. I'll take that title.
Your episode 1 and your All-Star number 1.
All-Star number 1.
All your base are belong to All-Star number 1.
Heck yeah.
Do you think, like, in general, like, where is there left to go for online events? It may be a hard question, but, like, where, like, I know where we're going from here, but if you're running an online event, or you thinking about running an online event, like, where do they go from here? There's been so many, especially in these COVID times.
Yeah, I think, like, one important thing for online events is, like, to be able to differentiate yourself from another one. Like, if I tune into an event and it's like, oh, wow, this feels like the exact same event I watched 3 weeks ago that was run by an entirely different set of people. Because, I mean, a lot of them obviously use the same format. It's one that works. It's not one that I can, off the top of my head, try to improve. But, if anyone's, like, starting an event and it's just the same thing as another event, you're going to have a rough time sort of thing, right? So I think some innovation on that end will need to come. Thankfully, I just do the tech. I don't do any other thinking. So that's CJ's job.
Yeah, CJ has to think.
Well, not for Estat. Estat, I feel like we're pretty unique. But
yeah,
if CJ runs his own marathon.
Estat, I felt like there was a point. It was the first Estat. I think I've told this story before. But there was this dude in a friend of ours channel, and he was just like, yeah, I know it said SSAT on the screen, but I don't know what SSAT meant. And you were streaming on NASA, and I didn't know what that was about. So I just figured it was a NASA show called SSAT. And I'm like, you thought it was a NASA show called SSAT? He's like, yeah, that's what I came up with. And I was really mad at that answer for a while, and then I'm like, I guess I can understand, right? Because the guy was being very flippant. And he's like, how am I supposed to know it's a speed doc show? I'm like, it only says speed docs on screen every 5 seconds. He goes, I didn't look at that time.
It's on a rotating graphic.
I know. So I was like, all right, fine, okay. He's like, and then I saw the Donkey Kong Country 2 thing. It's like, oh yeah, Speed Doc put out Donkey Kong Country. No, wait. So I went and I looked, and I was just... I saw a Donkey Kong Country 2 video was out, so I went and looked up Summoning Salt and was mad that there wasn't a Summoning Salt video for Donkey Kong Country 2.
Damn.
And I was like,
poor guy.
Because I didn't make one. We made one. That was one of the weirdest fucking pieces of feedback we ever got. Someone left a comment on the DKC2 video one time that said, I wish that you didn't make this video because my favorite content creator is Summoning Salt, and now I want him to make a video about it, and now he can't because you did. Can you unlist your video?
Well,
and I was like, oh damn.
I don't know how much Salt likes Donkey Kong, but also, no.
No, yeah, I'm not entertaining this fucking kid. Like, come on, man. What are you doing? You know, we get crazy. Cece had one today. He had to delete.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna say who it was or what video it was on, but someone left a comment that was like, "Oh, so and so sounds hot. She has a very cute voice," and I was like, "Man, y'all need to get out a little bit."
You know, it's rough for everyone apparently.
It's a very so and so has a sexy voice. It's like, oh god, it's like so gross. It's not gross to think someone has a nice voice, but to be like, I'm gonna share this with the internet. I hope she sees it.
I hope she sees it and clicks on my profile.
I hope she clicks on my profile. It has one video I uploaded from my flip camera. Do y'all have the flip? Y'all didn't have the flip?
I did have a flip phone. I also got a flip phone for work when I was still part-time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they gave me a flip phone. And then I think 2 years into working, they're like, hey, we got you an upgrade. And it was like a newer flip phone. And I'm like, okay.
Canadian government ain't out here paying for no... Sorry, hang on. Your employer ain't out here wilding, giving people free phones, man. They ain't giving you no, like, phone with a keyboard. They're giving you the flippy.
I got the flippy.
You still have the flippy?
Yes, but they ordered me a real phone because I did transition from part-time to full-time. So now I get the big boy toys. So I'm getting a phone with a screen that I can touch.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Don't you already have one?
Well, like a work phone.
See, the thing is, and like, I had a work phone for a while. I got really annoyed at carrying around two phones.
Well, I mean, I would only carry one if I'm being paid to carry it around.
I know, but like I had to carry two phones around.
That's fair.
And I'm like, and then I was like making phone calls, and like people still called me from my normal phone, and it felt really counterproductive to be like, "Oh, can you call me back on my work phone?" Like that wasn't what it was. So I want to start wrapping up, but I'm wondering if there's any other SStat or launch party related, or I guess GDQ stories if you wanted to throw one out there, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Didn't we go to Fuddruckers together?
Possibly. Was that right before we bought Moonshine Pickles, or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, that was before that.
Was that Fuddruckers? Like the restaurant right before?
Was the Pickles at SGDQ? Yes.
Yes.
So Pickles was at SGDQ. Or we had Moonshine we had the Pickles at AGDQ. Fuddruckers was at SGDQ.
What was Fuddruckers?
The burger place that we went to?
It does not ring a bell.
It would have been Full Air. Episode 26, by the way. Specifically, she's the only person to ever request what number podcast she was.
Did she say Y26?
Raichu.
Ah.
Yeah, so Raichu 26. Reizu. Reizu's never been on the podcast. Lemon. And you and Mike. That was because Mike wasn't there at AGDQ.
True. I don't remember.
You don't remember the burgers? They were like big burgers. It was like you ordered and then you had to go around to the side to pick it up.
No. It's not coming back.
You don't remember?
I do not remember.
Okay. Well, the important part of the story isn't Fuddruckers, okay? The important part... You don't remember I guess you don't remember. The important part was that we did buy moonshine on the way back. It was peppermint moonshine. Except, for anyone listening in the South, it's not technically moonshine, right? Because it's fucking illegal.
It's not your moonshine.
It's not your daddy's moonshine. It's the best thing called moonshine you can get at a liquor store in Minnesota. Okay? So... Right, we're in Minneapolis. I go to the Fuddruckers on the way back. We got peppermint moonshine. And I was getting... I think... Did you have any?
I might have had like one thing, but then decided against it after all.
So I got it, and I remember Cece. Cece says I mention him on every episode, and he's so right. But I remember Cece goes, "Dog, no one is going to drink that. Why the fuck did you buy it?" And I was like, no, you don't understand. Everyone is going to drink this. And I would wait for people to get drunk, and then be like, "Here, have some moonshine." And they'd be like, "Oh no, oh god, no." And then I'd be like, no, seriously, it's not that bad. See? And it kind of smelled like mouthwash in the bad way. Like, it didn't smell like good mouthwash, right? It was smell like mouthwash in a bad way, and I was just getting people to drink it. And I remember Cece, who said he wasn't going to drink it at all, he did have one. And he was like, "It's not bad." And then the thing about it was, it was smooth going down, and then it was hell. It was like...
When it kicked, it kicked.
And then, at a fucking Walgreens in Florida, we found moonshine-soaked pickles at AGDQ.
Was that a Walgreens?
That was yeah.
The heck?
That was a Walgreens. That was a liquor store attached to a Walgreens that was also Walgreens.
True, yes, I remember now.
I don't know how it is like for you, but when I told people that you can't buy beer at a liquor store, they looked at me like I was crazy. Like, where I live, you can't buy beer at the liquor store.
Why would you not be able to buy beer at a liquor store?
Because it's not liquor, it's beer. You have to buy beer at either a beer store or the grocery store. But liquor, you can only buy at a liquor store. Am I blowing your mind?
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, why can't liquor stores also sell beer?
I don't know. I don't know why. Now I'm going to look it up. Why? Hang on. Why don't liquor stores sell beer?
Yeah, because they totally do that here.
They don't do that here. Oh, because there is a different license required in my area to sell beer and soda versus wine and liquor.
Beer and soda. All right. They just group those two together?
I guess so.
Do you need an ID to buy soda? Are they going to ask me if I'm 21 if I want to get a Coke?
No, but that's also why there's no wine at the liquor store, at the grocery store. So, there's also no gas station wine.
We have wine at the grocery store, but no beer at the grocery store. No. That's so weird.
Yeah, no. So we went. I was shocked that you could buy beer and moonshine and soda in the same store. Like, totally floored, right? So I bought these moonshine-soaked pickles, and I bought a bucket of Fireball.
Ah, yes.
The bucket is, like, forever in everyone's memories because everyone has a picture of themselves wearing the bucket. Mine and Quo's probably atop the fame chart.
Famous. Infamous, some might say.
Some might say infamous, yes. But the pickles, we were getting people to eat the pickles as a challenge. And I remember, at first I was like, "Here, have a moonshine pickle." And everyone again is like, "No, we're not. Why would you buy this? Who the hell is going to eat this?" And I remember, so Dan, who's not online anymore, he had the record with 6. And then Eric, he came and he ate like 7. And I remember I was like, God damn. And then I think Lurther, shout out to Lurther. Lurther at one point had like 3 and he totally got smoked. Right? So it was Lurther. Oh, sorry. It was Lurther, then Eric. And then Dan was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this on stream." And Dan bought a jar of moonshine pickles at home and ate the jar. And then drank the jar. And I was like, oh my God. So everyone had moonshine pickles. They were a big hit because CJ knows what the kids want. Sorry, what the drinking age of consent in my area adults want. And that's what I buy. I only buy what people want.
There you go.
People want moonshine pickles.
That's what they want.
There was also moonshine soaked cherries, which were pretty good. But I kept those for myself.
Yeah, the kids didn't want that. They just want the pickles.
The drinking
age people
children
in the area.
Not in the event space, mind you, but in the hotel at GDQ, were gracious to have the pickles and the cherries. And there's more stories that came about because of the pickles, but we're out of time. So maybe on a future podcast, we'll tell the whole pickle story again if we haven't told it already. I'm not entirely sure, but do you have any last things you want to say?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me on the show. I guess this is a good start.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the show, Quo. You can find my guest today in all the places that you want to look for him. He is speedrun.com/user/Quo, Quo. You can find him on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/QUOOOO. That's Quo with 4 O's. You can find him on Twitter at ironically_Quo. And you can find him on YouTube. That is Quo Speedruns on YouTube. If you YouTube just Quo, you will get a rap song by the artist known as Quo. It is not the same person. Quo is much more relevant than the rapper.
Nice. So, all right.
Thank you so much for being on. I'm glad that this was so much fun. Thank you to everyone who voted to have Quo on Speedrun Insider All Stars. There will be a regular episode on Friday as per usual. And there will be another All-Star episode next week, probably the same day this episode was released. So if this episode comes out on Monday, expect another one on Monday. If it comes out on a Wednesday, expect it to come out next Wednesday. So very excited. There are 6 more episodes of All Stars before we take a break, and we'll be working really soon to get those done for you guys. So thank you so much for listening. Appreciate all of that you do to support the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.